No idea what it's about. I've no idea what any of the following are about because I was really sick the last couple of weeks and drove down. So I used to have this process. I had a chapter called 4 a.m., which I've now kind of bled into other things. And I had this process of kind of getting stoned and drunk and then go to sleep when I was ruminating on an idea. I hated the idea of forcing, like sit down and read the technique and work like an actual artist. I hated that. I hate the notion of conforming, because how can it possibly be art if you're conforming to someone else's idea of what structure is? And I wasn't trying to write poetry, I was just trying to get these ideas out. If they came out as jokes or stories or songs or poems, I didn't care. I just wanted them to be very, very pure. And I was, in a way, sort of pursuing the stream of consciousness thing, which I never really got to, but it is amazing even when you get close. So because you read back over some of the stuff when you wake up the next day and you go, oh shit, it's a good idea. So this is called Jude. I say too much and tell so little, but grief is mean and heavy. The plates of health feel brittle over clammy wounds, and at night is when I'm reminded of every memory I couldn't change, and your touch becomes the kind that changes my mind all the same. They say to have loved and lost, they say to have lived down, they say to be oneself, but never talk of love found. Love found needs no lament, love found needs no abhor. Love found needs no fight nor cry in the night, love found is to behold once more. You may not share me, I will not share you. That may seem aggressive, and it is, but I am run through. I am spent and I am drained. I am turned off by company and I am drawn, I am bored, and I complain continually. And then love is found, and I am boy and I am spirit, and I am joy and I am man, and I have no limit. So the contrast is stark, it is with or without. Without you it is dark, and in love there is no doubt. So that's Tuesday. And this is called Old. If youth is wasted on the young, so wisdom is wasted on the aged. If we have learned anything at all, we'd be screaming from mountaintops naked. We'd never invest and never demand and never sit still and never command. We would fight and we would ride and smile and cry, and love would conquer things from time to time. We'd believe in death and not fear dying as opposed to the opposite. We'd believe in faith and not fear lying and understand that composite. But look at us, decrepit and convinced, like truth is absolute, like spirit resolute, like any of it is worth a hoot. And it ain't. Life isn't quaint. It's an awful slalom to fathoms unknown, and finding that out is somehow wrong. To be old and great is daring, to humiliate the scoffing schmucks that hold age beneath me. I give my word to go down restrained and swear. And then I just did some edits last week on some old poems that I'd written down. I'd written them down because Brian was telling me to send over a finished version of Women, Religion and the Sky, which was all about those things, like I said, I explained to you guys, but you guys know the story about Tom Waits did in Keith Richards' book. And it was Tom Waits, do you know? Tom Waits turned up at the studio to see Keith Richards. I was reading his book, A Bit of a Hero. And he said he was behind the glass, and Keith played for hours and hours, and then he finished. And he said he just held up the guitar and stared at it, like all the other things men can't understand, like women, this guy. And I was like, fucking having that line, Tom Waits, you're not getting away with that. I was like, so I stoked. And that makes me a great artist, man.
Yeah, damn right it does.
So, so there's a couple of edits of it. It's called The Distance. I stood in the sea, some feckless place, the cold stinging my knees. I threatened myself with deeper water, my threats are to be taken seriously. Wind is there, but the cold makes it seem like it's howling. It's the distance I stare, where lands are quiet and prowling. How long have I stood? My chest is cold now. My ankles and feet are numb. Have I inched forward, or was that the tide? Everything has changed, but the distance stays stunned. The unreachable horizon is the earth giving way to the distance we haven't yet known. And I look and I wonder as I stand in the sea, is that where we find what is gone? And that's the distance. And then, this is it, this is called Staycation, that's the last one. Static Seagulls, Salt Wind, sorry, I'll prefix Staycation. Staycation was written behind my poor wife's back when we sneaked away to Wales during COVID. We weren't supposed to go anywhere. Fuck the system! And so we drove to Wales and we stayed in this outrageously bad B&B, and we were in this town which we just shouldn't have gone to. I mean, I'm sure even when it's 25 degrees, this place is like hanging on by a thread. And it was just bad, but I found it so poetic. Like, I find such lovely poetry in the hilarity of people convincing themselves they're going to see, and that's supposed to be a positive thing instead of like what it really was the Blakey idea of this, this snarly wild animal was ready to go to you. And the fucking storm was raging, and there's like this little ice cream shop with those furry multicolored windmills outside, like come away, ice cream. You're like, fucking what's that? I want a scarf. Anyway, Static Seagulls, salt wind, roaring wave, beating and abusing the pebbles, not quite yet sound. Garishly painted ice cream shops and seafront cottages pretend they're somewhere sunny. I guess they are every once in a while. A plaque from 1930 says a wind shelter was donated to the town by Lady Margaret Lloyd George. It's a sea foam blue, or it used to be. I guess they thought here was sunny too. It is the seaside, make no mistake, but the sea is not kind, and this side puts up a fight. This is the aftermath, the left behind. But I could stay here, lose all I want, and lose all time. The seagulls squawk, so put on, like drunk teenage girls seeing one another outside the pub. They're both pests, they're both here, both tolerated necessary clothes. I feel like pleasantness would spoil this place. Like a rough old tree trunk, its roughness is its face. But I'm wrong, and it gets nicer and finer, and smiling faces fill up the diner. And the wine helps, I suppose, but under duress. I'll come back to this place, I'm sure, or I hope. At least I want to. But it's rare to find such an aesthetic and weather combination that wears my mood so well.
Yay!